Happy Easter, Aaron Alvarado. We are being broadcast live to all of Facebook. Hello, Russia.
Hey, Facebook. Hey, Zuckerberg. Does Mark Zuckerberg celebrate Easter?
No. No. I believe he called Easter fake news.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word?
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. He said he isn't risen, actually. Very offensive.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. When should we bring up the fact that we have a new sponsor of today's pod? Our friends over at Cambridge Analytica.
They're tapped right into this. They know every last detail about our viewers.
Yeah, that's the great thing too. Is if you're viewing us, they're also viewing you.
Oh yeah,
and just taking a note of everything that's going on.
Well, they literally give us notes after the episode.
Yeah, all sorts of charts and data and stuff, and we use that data to swing elections. All right, so this little bit here, I'm changing the Facebook Live video to public, which it is now public.
All right,
so people are able to come check it out. So we're here to talk Ready Player One. We're here to talk the 5 most underrated Spielberg films, and before all that, we'll do a little catch up. But are you ready to get started here, Aaron?
Let's do it. I just shared it on my Facebook page too. So.
Oh, awesome! Thank you for doing that. It's about time you start, pubbing our work here.
Well, I've been ashamed of it up until now, but I figure for this one.
Can you see these Easter borders around the screen?
I cannot, but let me check. Let me use the Facebook app. I've actually deleted the app, but for this episode, I've reinstalled it.
You know what? I don't know if they're even showing up, but there's some really great borders.
Yeah, I don't see any borders on mine.
Super festive. And I guess you can only see them on my end. Then what's the point if our audience can't see this? I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to get this pod started because I'm so ready to talk about this movie and Spielberg things.
Well, what are we talking about?
I got so many takes. Oh, we're talking about the Oasis, my friend. We are going to talk about Mark Rylance. You know what? I'm going to talk as if it's like a headline of a newspaper. The Mark Rylance problem. We're going to talk about it. My column.
Subheading the Simon Pegg dilemma.
yes. That's the similar problem.
Yeah.
A different issue. It's very, very similar. I'm going to talk about a little bit of, why we keep, there's so many great American actors out of work and, because they're losing their jobs overseas to, British actors like Simon Pegg who play with shoddy American accents. We're going to talk more about that.
Yeah. Can someone get the president on the line to build some sort of wall to keep these British actors off of American soil?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Right down the middle of the Atlantic. Yeah. I mean, yes, let's do it. You know what? I was going to say, we can get the president on the line. All I need to do is convince him that our ratings on this are huge. And then we'll get the Roseanne phone call.
Oh, yeah.
Because, as people know, I've always been the big Trump supporter on the pod.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a huge Roseanne supporter. Ever since she sang the national anthem and she spit afterwards, I was a huge fan. Do you remember? Have you ever seen that video?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I have. By the way, Trump's had some words for Colin Kaepernick's treatment of the national anthem, or his treatment about treating the flag and things that are patriotic.
Sure, yeah.
Did he do the same with Roseanne though? Did he?
He literally called her a patriot. So
he did.
New England patriot is what he called her.
So kneeling for the flag, not a patriot, and in fact a son of a B word.
Yeah.
Since this is a PG pod.
Yes.
But if you spit at the Star Spangled Banner, that's what it was,
yeah,
right?
it was at the end of the Star Spangled Banner. Actually,
she's a patriot.
Wasn't just spitting; she also grabbed her crotch. Not joking.
Why not?
Grabbed the crotch and spit.
Fair, that's a Michael Jackson dance move. So
it's an homage to the great one.
All right, I'm gonna start. Let's do this.
All right, let's do it.
You ready? All right. Welcome to the Brave Little Podcast. Ready Player One. Aaron Alvarado from Los Angeles. How you doing?
Player 2, and I'm feeling great. How you doing, Player 1?
Am I 1 or is Skylar? Skylar's 1.
You're Mario. I'm Luigi. Skylar is actually Waluigi.
Skylar. He's
Waluigi.
I'm Mario. You're Luigi. So you are I'm the Bob Hoskins to your John Leguizamo. And who is Skylar? Cooper? Is he the?
He's good. No, he's Bowser.
Wario.
He's
Bowser.
He's Bowser.
You know, honestly, he's Toad.
Yeah, he's kind of a Toad. I'll give him that.
Speaking of Skylar, I couldn't stop thinking while watching Ready Player One about how Skylar could have played this lead role just fine.
he would have been perfect in it. I think.
Yes.
I think that
would have been. He is.
That was the one element missing from the movie for me.
Oh
yeah.
Skylar?
I think so, because every other scene it's like, oh, I recognize that. That's something from my childhood. That's a memory that I remember. That's something from pop culture. I really needed something personally from my life in the movie to just put it over the top.
Just about everything from your life was in that film except your friends.
Exactly. So I think that's the one element that we needed. Literally someone from our life.
We are going to get into this. I can't wait. We have a few items of business to go over first, though. First, the Kings just beat the Lakers, which is always worth celebrating. Less exciting when it's a time when we should be tanking. But still, it featured this, what we come to expect here is De'Aaron Fox with some late game clutch action. You got to hand it to the guy. He's had multiple either game tying, game winning shots in the last 5 to 10 seconds. I mean, this dude is clutch.
He's had an up and down season, but I got to give him props.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Lonzo didn't play tonight, but De'Aaron Fox, I mean, you got to give him credit. A very low scoring game, hard fought, but you guys pulled it out, so total respect.
1 point.
Well, I mean, the Lakers are so depleted, they actually started Luol Deng tonight. He started 2 games this season.
Former All-Star Luol Deng. Thank you very much. Luol Deng.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't actually watch the game, so I was doing Easter stuff.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't either. I was at the game last night though.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Kings played the Warriors. So
I thought you were protesting outside.
No, I would have loved to do that.
Uh-huh.
I'm absolutely support that. For those of you listening who don't know, I'm a Kings season ticket holder. Last week, it made some national news about how there were protests in Sacramento that actually caused an arena, the Kings Arena, Golden One Center, to be on lockdown right before a game. I was actually in the arena for that lockdown. I'm not going to go into the whole story here, but it was a pretty wild experience where I was basically I entered, willingly to this arena, but then I was held there against my will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, literally, I went to every exit, and it was just a line of cops or guards in, riot gear, being like,
Exactly. You were no longer a sovereign citizen. Once you tried to exit that building, you were held against your will. You were kidnapped.
Absolutely was. And they tried to make me forget that by still giving me a refund, even though I got in, offering free food, which, I mean, for arenas that are famous for overcharging, free food and free non-alcoholic drinks, free snacks.
Right.
Even the guys walking up and down the aisles with the cotton candy, get as much as you want.
Wild.
That pacified just about everyone, all 500 people that made it in, by the way. But not me, not this guy.
No, can I just say that even if someone offered me free cotton candy, I would not take it. It's literally the worst snack food in history.
I agree 100%, by the way, because there's no redeeming value. It's sugar in its worst form, and I love sugar. Worst form. That didn't stop me from getting 5 orders of cotton candy, and they sat at my foot like a pillow. It was like a cushion for me to stand on because it was free.
What's like a Tempur-Pedic cushion for your?
It was like $75 worth of cotton candy. I mean, I wasn't gonna. It was incredible. They actually started handing out vegetable tray, and people were like, "No." Like,
well, you took the ranch dip off of there, and then you threw the vegetables away.
But they seriously did. They had these trays of these veggie cups, and people were like, "Where are the churros? Like, where are the Dippin' Dots? What is this?" Like,
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty wild experience. I got DM'd on Twitter by the Kings beat reporter Jason Jones from the Sacramento Bee, who needed someone he could trust to give him some quotes for the write-up about what the experience was like in the arena during the lockdown. And so he slid into my DMs real quick and was like, "Hey, can you meet me at the top of section 110? I need some quotes." And he knows I'm good for some quotes.
Incredible.
And so I went up there and had a 10-minute conversation with him and recorded it. And yeah, we got, I mentioned the Brave Little podcast like a dozen times.
Well, and I actually read the article, and they did that thing where they do the dashes. When someone says the curse word or something, they just dash it out. Yeah. So every time you mention the Brave Little podcast, he dashed that out. And then it said redacted afterwards. Yeah, non-approved commercial plug. It said unintelligible is what it said.
Unintelligible. Oh, gosh. That was wild. But yesterday was cool because I got to be a part of what we call the High Five Squad. Now, this is a group of people that are usually made up of Make-A-Wish Foundation kids and other charities. A lot of children, but because I'm a season ticket holder and because I asked, I got to go down and stand with maybe about 20 other people in a line to high five all of the Kings players as they came out of the tunnel onto the court to do warm-ups. My only goal there was to high five 3 people, and that's De'Aaron Fox, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and most importantly, Vince Carter, who went on to maim a player. But no, I'm kidding. It was not intentional. I love you, VC. I was successful. I was 3 for 3. I actually withheld my hand for a handful of people, like Costa Koufis. Like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need to slap Costa Koufis' hand. And Jack Cooley. Anyone that's ever played 1 minute in the G League, no thanks.
No, don't got time for that.
But I'll tell you what's funny is they give us these T-shirts that say High Five Squad. I should have brought it in for the Facebook Live people to see. But it almost looks like a charity, like the font and everything makes it look like it. So after we do the High Five Squad, we have to go single file line like we're a kindergarten class. And we sit at the right at the edge of the court, and we get to watch them warm up for 10 minutes. So right behind me are the people that are literally sitting courtside. Right. So there's 6 rich people, and there's this dude behind me, and there's like this, this woman she's a server taking his order for his food, and the guy leans forward and he's like, "Hey bud, you want some snacks? I'll order anything you want." And I turn around realizing like, oh, he thinks I'm the Make-A-Wish kid. Like, he definitely thinks. And I turned around and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like some red vines."
Sir, can I have some red vines?
I would. Now that you meant, I would love some red vines. And so he's like, "Red vines for the guy," And I'm sitting there just like,
and make it snappy. He doesn't have much time left.
yeah. I was gonna say, red vines is the one thing that numbs the pain. It was incredible. I mean, he said it in this way that, like, one, he was certainly in a tone of voice the tone of voice that you don't speak to someone that is 31 years old.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if maybe he didn't see my facial hair. It doesn't matter. I wasn't asking questions. The dude said I could order anything. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to think of the most expensive thing that could possibly be on that menu. But like, I couldn't get there fast enough. And just the first thing popped in my mind was like, I'm just really feeling red vines. Like, I really want red vines.
Well, you should ask for the regular strawberry and the grape if they got them. You need to.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask her if she could open it up and make half of them black licorice or half red. Reseal the package, because they do anything for those people courtside.
If you're sitting courtside, I mean, you've had that courtside experience before, right?
Oh yeah. When I disrupted Carmelo Anthony mentally, who's been in decline since that game, by the way. He has not performed well.
He's carrying some baggage, some mental baggage. You hurt that man.
I mean, what is it possible? I'm the first person that's told him to his face that New York never loved him? Because if I am,
obviously he's thought it for years, and you just confirmed that fact by yelling it at him.
I can't believe that worked. Oh, such a bucket list thing.
You are living in his head rent free right now.
And I'm still in there. I got penthouse suite in Brooklyn in there. All right, let's get into let's talk movies. We're gonna talk Ready Player One, but since we last broadcasted, I did see a few other movies. I don't want to spend a ton of time on them, but just quickly mention them and give my thumbs up or thumbs down. But I saw A Wrinkle in Time.
How was that, by the way?
You know what's funny is, honestly, it was horrendous.
Ooh.
No, really, what it was it was just not a very good film. I'm grateful that Ava DuVernay was able to do it and was given the budget. I mean, there's significance surrounding the making of the film that I think, should be talked about and celebrated. But we also shouldn't shy away from the fact that it's just a mess of a film. It's also, to be fair, the source material, which is, I read the book as a child. It's not the most easily adaptable stuff. But the finished product sure felt like a movie where someone had a vision at the start. I'm assuming Ava had a vision at the start, and it just got neutered along the way, whether it's from studio notes or just the execution wasn't working, the performances, whatever happened. But I'm watching this movie thinking like, oh, this is such a misfire. What a disappointing misfire. But there is a scene where Oprah Winfrey's like 70 feet tall. So that was pretty cool.
So she was the BFG in that movie.
Look. She played BFG way better than Mark Rylance, and I'm going to be going ham on Mark Rylance later on.
She was the BFO.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, there's a tease for you. If you don't love Mark Rylance, stick around because we got some takes. You know what movie was better than A Wrinkle in Time?
Let's hear it.
Thoroughbreds. Okay, Thoroughbreds, starring the late great Anton Yelchin in a supporting
Oh
role.
yeah, okay.
He died a year and a half ago, and this was he'd actually died about 2 weeks after he finished filming this. This was like kind of a low budget indie film that played at the following Sundance, but it still took another year to release, and it was just like feels like he died so long ago. When the Russians cut his brake lines, or I mean the recall on the Jeep.
Very suspicious.
Crushed him against his mailbox. I'm told. I
think it was the gate. The gate. He was checking the mail.
He was pinned against the gate because. Yeah, I'm sure that's totally legit.
Very fishy.
Honestly, Thoroughbreds way better than I was expecting. It's a little slow.
I don't know anything about it. What's the movie? What's it about?
So it stars also the two actresses. Actually, Lily James from Split.
Okay, she's great.
No, that's not her name. Is that her name? It's Lily something. I might be really messing that up. And then the actress Olivia Cooke from Ready Player One.
Oh wow,
they're the two leads.
Okay,
and it's a really quirky kind of interesting rhythm to the film. It is slow in the beginning. It's slow going, but it goes to a place I didn't really fully expect it to. And Anton Yelchin, it just made my heart hurt seeing him on screen because he's so good in the movie, and it reminds me that he's so good in everything I've seen him in.
I know the kid was so talented, and I feel like his career was just getting started, and he never had a chance to really like dig in, be a leading man. And it's really unfortunate, obviously, because he died so young. But I mean, he was super talented. I always liked the guy whenever I saw him in movies. So rest in peace, Anton.
Seriously. So the actress from Split, I was way off. Her name is Anya Taylor-Joy. That's a hyphenated last name, not unlike Willie Cauley-Stein, Michael Gilchrist, Michael Carter Williams.
Wait, isn't Lily James Lily KCP? Lily James, I think she's in Baby Driver, isn't she? Isn't that the girl?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the girl from Baby Driver.
Yeah. Also, but just side note, Anya Taylor-Joy, which I'm definitely saying
Almond Joy. Wrong. Yeah, is that her name?
Almond Joy. Yeah. But yeah, that's her. Yeah. Almond Joy is great in Thoroughbreds, but doesn't hold a candle to Lily James, who was terrific in Baby Driver.
She's awesome.
And in Darkest Hour, starring Gary Oldman in Winston Churchill fat suit. So Thoroughbreds was good. Check it out. Okay, that's actually worth checking.
I'm
out.
in for that.
Lastly, Tomb Raider, starring not Angelina Jolie, starring Academy Award winner Alicia Vikander. Yes, who I'm a fan of. Ex Machina was awesome. She was okay in Jason Bourne, but it wasn't her fault. I just couldn't tell what accent she was using. Again, not her fault. And then I didn't see the movie she won an Oscar for, but that doesn't matter. Tomb Raider was better than I was expecting. To be clear, I was expecting it to be very bad. It's rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, but I found myself actually pretty entertained by it.
That's interesting.
Surprisingly so. So if you're on an airplane or if it's on Netflix or something, don't shy away from watching because you think it's really bad. It's actually pretty entertaining.
Where does this Tomb Raider rank versus the original Tomb Raider?
So the original Tomb Raider, which is Raiders of the Lost Ark, is number
I'm actually talking about the game, not the movie.
Probably Lara Croft 9 Lost Souls.
Okay.
No, I mean that's not a real. There's one great reference to the game at the very end of the film.
Is there really?
But otherwise, this isn't really. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it's just loose. I mean, her name is Lara Croft, and she kind of is an archaeologist, kind of.
Okay.
And
so this is basically just National Treasure, the movie.
Yeah, it's Yes, that's right. It's National Treasure, kind of, except in England. But then she goes somewhere else. I don't know. All I'm saying is it's not the abomination you'd be expecting. It's actually quite good. It's better than either of Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider films. That's for sure. But let's get into the meat of this. We are here to talk Ready Player One and then go over Spielberg's most underrated films. And Ready Player One, the novel written by Ernest Cline in 2011 or 12-ish, pretty recent. It's a book very well known for being chock full of 80s references. It's gaming culture, kind of software developer culture. That it's just in this time where we talk about nostalgia being like such a big part of, themes of movies, like whether it's The Force Awakens or whatever, like nostalgia sells. Like this is, a piece of content that was fitting right into that narrative, the book. I was concerned that by making a movie at this point that the nostalgia would feel way too overblown, but that's basically going into this movie. That's the thing it's known for, is just 80s references galore. And how are you going to be able to get all the licensing agreements and whatever to adapt into a film? I will say before I go into my take, when the trailers dropped for it, I couldn't have been more concerned.
It was a very bad initial trailer. Very bad.
Really bad. Like really bad. But anyway, this is a film that made 51 million in the box office, so a lot of people are seeing it. This is a film on Rotten Tomatoes, is currently sitting at 76% certified fresh, 79 with audience. That's a solid, respectable score. Now, we are both born in the 80s. Okay. I remember a very little bit about the 80s. I remember the early 90s much more because I was born in 87. But you and I know a thing or two about the nostalgia that's in play in this movie. I'm curious, did the nostalgia, did the whole movie, did it all work for you? Did you enjoy this, or did you go the other way?
Well, so I read the book, or I listened to the book on tape, and
you did? No.
Yeah, and for what it is, it's just disposable sci-fi pap, basically. It's like it's just garbage entertainment, and if you go into this expecting just references galore and to just be bombarded by some references from your youth, then you'll probably have a good time. Because everything else about the movie is just really completely disposable. The story has big stakes, but it's just it feels like you go through these motions just to see what the next cameo of a character or a vehicle or a video game property is next in their world, in this Oasis world. So if you love referential stuff, if you love like seeing things from your childhood on the big screen, then you'll have a good time in this. And like you said, the whole Stranger Things phenomenon, the It remake, all these remakes, all these reboots, they just play into that nostalgia thing. So this movie is basically perfect for this time, when everything is self-referential, or pop culture is so dependent on bringing up things from the past. And I think people, if you go into that with that in mind, and you understand that that's what you're going to get out of this movie, then you'll have a good time. It's really just a popcorn movie, and it's a feel-good movie, simple story, simple premises, nothing weighty whatsoever. And like I said, low expectations, you'll have a good time. I kind of liked it. I did fall asleep. I have to be honest. I did fall asleep about 2 hours in. The movie's long.
2 hours in? Oh,
the movie, it's a long movie. 2 hours 20.
Yeah. That's probably a time where it's okay to. It's probably.
Nodded off, and I didn't miss anything. So for me, the movie worked.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I will say that I did enjoy it. It's not a great movie by any means.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie, and I get a kick out of seeing stuff like the Ninja Turtles fighting next to Hello Kitty. I think that's funny. Yes. It's stupid, but it's funny, and it's kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think I'm very similar to you. Although I get the sense I may have liked it a little bit more than you, but general sentiments are true. Before I give my take, though, what would you score it like on Rotten Tomatoes?
Boy, that's a tough one. So if we're...
So it's 76 in real life.
I think that's a little generous. If I'm going to say anything, it's probably mid-60s. So give me about a 65 on this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I came out... I've seen it twice now.
Whoa, you've seen it twice?
Yeah. No, I have.
How many times did you fall asleep?
I did my homework. Yeah, so the first time it was in the first act. The second time it was in the third act. I land solidly at a 75.
Oh wow, okay.
Tomatoes. So about 10 points more than you, but right around where it's at. I definitely enjoyed it. Like the first time I watched it, it was just kind of a thrill. We get very few chances of seeing things like the Gundam, you talked about seeing Ninja Turtles fighting alongside Hello Kitty and the Iron Giant and the DeLorean. And, because of intellectual property and copyright, we just don't get to see that in films. But of course, Spielberg can pull off getting, so many different IPs to agree to allow him to do this. It was kind of fun. And it was a thrill. This is not Schindler's List. This is not Saving Private Ryan. This is not Jurassic Park or even Jaws. Like, I would never argue this is like great cinema. It's very disposable. It'll fall like right just smack dab in the middle of Spielberg's filmography in terms of like the ranking. It's gonna be right in the middle, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think in the middle of Spielberg's, I mean that it's perfectly good entertainment. And if you're starting to apply, if there's any level of critical application in evaluating this film, it's not going to hold up under that kind of scrutiny. But I don't think it's made for that. When this debuted at South by Southwest, Spielberg said this thing, which I find very curious. I don't know exactly what he means by it. I have an idea, but he walked up and said, "What's important to know about this is that we had this Ready Player One is a movie, not a film." And he kept emphasizing this is a great movie. Mm-hmm. It's not a film. And I'm just like, okay, this is obviously more than just you didn't shoot it on 35 millimeter. But what distinction do you think Spielberg's making when he was wanting the audience to know beforehand that it's a movie and not a film?
Well, I mean, he's basically just warning everyone: don't expect too much. It's basically check your brains at the door. Pull up a big bag of popcorn, a box of licorice, and enjoy the ride.
Grab get a Spielberger.
Exactly, a 6-pack of Spielbergers. So I liken this to like the movie Pixels or the movie Wreck-It Ralph, where you just have these characters from other properties that basically make the experience for you.
So to be clear, better than Pixels, but worse than Wreck-It Ralph. That's where we're
exactly. That's the hierarchy right there. Yeah. So I mean, if you like those type of movies, then you'll probably like this. It's not bad, and I think this movie in the hands of basically any other director probably doesn't work as well. But Spielberg is just such an absolute master craftsman that he makes this thing work. Like you can see his fingerprints all over it. You can see the way that he folds and tucks and all the parts. And a lot of it is trademark Spielberg. Where we have a kid with no father. That's one of the elements that you've seen in basically every good Spielberg. And there's there's stuff like that basically. It's fun. It's a fun movie. So.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. I love that you brought up like Spielberg's fingerprints, because his fingerprints could mean a lot of different things. But like some of the kind of vintage peak Spielberg, where it's this sense of like wonderment and fun and joy and life. Like I haven't seen that in very many of his recent films. But like this was here, just there are just sprinkles of it here and there, right? I mean, this isn't like E.T. or this isn't. Raiders of the Lost Ark in terms of that level, but like it was a little bit of vintage Spielberg in parts that's like fun to see.
Definitely.
Despite the fact that the two main characters, there's no reason to believe they would like each other in any way, shape,
absolutely
or form.
Not.
I mean, absolutely no idea why one of them would be attracted to the other. They're, I mean, that whole relationship, I wish it could have been played down more, just because it was really ultimately unimportant. In the movie.
So in the book, it's a huge element of the book.
Yeah, way bigger. But if you were going to de-emphasize in the movie, then like de-emphasize it more than they did, because it was just emphasized enough to remind me that like this was really not convincing.
Completely unimportant.
But
Yeah. So just real quick, like there's the movie and the book like diverge in a lot of places basically, and some people have a huge problem with that. I don't. I mean, it's like they're two separate properties really. And
do you think the divergence were good in this?
Yeah, because I don't think you can make the movie that the book was like. You can't do a perfect adaptation of the book. That's right. Even though the book apparently was a screenplay at one point and they turned it into a novel. It's poorly written. It's not very good.
It's not well written. Yeah.
And I would say the screenplay for this movie is not well written at all.
It's also not well written.
Terrible dialogue.
Though I would honestly listen to a version of it narrated by Will Wheaton.
Yeah. How come we didn't get Will Wheaton in not to spoil or anything, but we didn't get Will Wheaton in the movie?
I thought we were going to get a cameo. I thought that would have made sense. It must have been on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I will say my favorite part of the movie is, I won't spoil anything, but there's a search for the second key. And that involves a nice homage to my favorite director, one of my favorite movies, The Shining.
Yes. So, one of my top 10 films of all time.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that.
Not in the book.
No. That sequence is not in the book. But it works really well in the movie.
I liken this to the Vader scene at the end of Rogue One. Or even like the 20, there's like that 20-minute segment of Rogue One when things are humming. Yeah. Like, oh man, I wish the whole movie were this good. Yes. That's the second act of Ready Player One. Part of it was the surprise, right? Yes. I'd read the book. I thought I knew what I was getting into. But then they start going down this path that's like, oh, this is not in the book. And I also love what they're doing. And then they amped it up one level, like, no, they're not going to go. There you went in 2, 3, 7.
Exactly. And I think that specifically that scene is where you have Spielberg's fingerprints like all over it. And he's like I said, master craftsman, and he perfectly recreates a lot of the things from the original.
Yeah,
so.
It makes me wonder if Spielberg pushed that, if any of that was his idea at all.
Had to have been. Absolutely.
Because he had a relationship with Kubrick. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he did AI, which was a Kubrick production before Kubrick passed. Instead of The Shining in the book, the second gate in the book is Monty Python related. That's coming from John Harrison. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, I don't remember the book too much, but I do remember
pretty sure the second one was Monty Python.
Yeah, that sounds
because
right.
The third one is a venture in the book, as it is in the movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. It totally was. That's right.
Also, John points out that to be fair, that time compression in the movie made the relationship much realistic, which is typically why movies aren't as good as book adaptations, because they don't have that luxury. But it just felt particularly noticeable in this one.
Yeah. Also, you had the fact that there's no real explanation of why this kid has so much attachment to like 80s pop culture. Obviously, they explained that he's obsessed with the creator, who's played by Mark Rylance. But I think in the book they give a better explanation, really, of how
they do.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, if I hadn't read the book and known why he was such a fan, if it would have bothered me in the movie being like, I'm confused why this kid's obsessed with this guy. Is it just because he made the Oasis and he's famous?
That's kind of what they sell you in the movie, is basically just because he made the Oasis, the kid is so attached to it. But but yeah,
I love the GoldenEye reference.
How'd you like seeing the DeLorean back in action?
You know what? I fell right into so much of the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, I could watch a DeLorean be ridden around for days. I mean, give me all the DeLoreans you have. As a kid, that was like my dream car. Even though my dad had to repeatedly tell me, like, you don't understand, like, it's not a desirable car. And I was like, yes, it is.
Doesn't matter.
It goes back in time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Forwards, backwards, go wherever. Yeah, I want that car.
Yeah. So we got a ton of cameos from like products and properties, but we didn't get people. We didn't get actors, which is kind of disappointing. I would have loved to have seen, like, here are just one or two. Just give me a couple.
Cusack?
Exactly. Yeah. So
why not John Landis? We got TJ Miller though.
We did get TJ. How'd you feel about TJ?
No, look, I have kind of love-hate with TJ. I think he made Silicon Valley excellent. I've seen him in other films where he is. So it's a little much.
Mm-hmm. He's very TJ.
Yes. When unrestrained, it is too much. I think this was the perfect amount of TJ Miller. They need to sprinkle him in for more comedic relief, which actually I think it needed in the parts that he was in. And I actually think it worked with the sinister Ben Mendelsohn character.
Yeah. I don't think you can have two like straight bad guys in that role. It's kind of redundant. Yeah. So giving him like the comedic edge was great.
How about Matthew Broderick?
We needed him. Or
by the way, he waited by the phone for that call from his agent for that cameo. that phone never rang.
Who was who's the friend in Ferris? Cameron? Is that the dude's name? Cameron?
Oh, yeah. We don't know that actor's name.
He was on like Spin City and stuff. He still acts.
Sure.
But I would have loved to see him in the movie.
Oh, it would have been great. That would have been great. Even Sean Penn as Spicoli from Fast Times. I mean, we did get a Ridgemont High reference.
We did. We did get a Ridgemont Fast Times reference.
So, what did you have a single favorite reference? Was there one piece of nostalgia?
I mean, it's the Shining stuff, really.
It's the whole sequence. Yeah. It was marvelous, top to bottom. I mean, it was really terrific.
If I go back to see the movie a second time, it'll just be because of that second act, basically, because I enjoyed it so much.
All right, we have to talk about a couple problems here, and those couple problems are in the form of Mark Rylance and Simon Pegg, who are the creators of the Oasis, this virtual reality world that has consumed the world in 2045. Mark Rylance, British; Simon Pegg, British, playing two American entrepreneurs, which is always great. You want to talk about Rylance? Can I just say the preface here is, look, Spielberg, used Rylance for the first time, as far as I know, in Bridge of Spies, which inexplicably won him an Academy Award. He was fine in the film, but come on. That was not, pretty far from an Academy Award worthy performance. And for reasons that no one understands, Spielberg has brought Mark Rylance with him everywhere ever since, including playing Roald Dahl's BFG, which was such a mistake for him to do that. And then brings him here to Ready Player One. And, he's not going to let Mark Rylance's age or anything about him keep him from casting him. His age, the fact he's British, the fact that he's nothing like this character described in the book. But no, Spielberg is still trying to get his man some work.
We know that Spielberg is stubborn, right? And this is one of his stubborn moves, is bringing back Mark Rylance. Mark Rylance is a fine actor. I mean, he's
good in Dunkirk. He was really good.
Yeah, he's good in Dunkirk, and he's fine. But in the role that he puts him in this movie, so he plays the creator of Oasis. Oasis is the virtual reality world where everyone escapes to. They basically play it as much as possible because the real world sucks. And he's the creator, he's the programmer, he's the basically the brains and the god of this world. Yes. And the way that he portrays this programmer mentality is like, it is so beyond cliche. I don't think that Mark Rylance has any understanding of what like tech people are like, or what these type of entrepreneurs are. I think that they just told him that he's socially awkward and like reclusive, and he just plays it like a crazy man. He plays it like he's heard a bunch of things about computer or game programmers, but has never met one in his real life. I think that's the perfect description. Yeah. It's really unfortunate because it's
literally a mouth breather in this movie. He's just like,
yeah. So he plays it incredibly dumb, no nuance. It's really, really sad to watch, and it's a detriment to the movie. And also, can we talk about the age? He's an older gentleman, Mark Rylance, yes. And the ages don't match up to. It doesn't make any sense, I don't think.
So one quick point though on the character that Rylance is playing, which is the what's the name of the guy? The character in the movie. I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't believe he's the most important.
Exactly, but it's just so inconsequential.
I'm just brain farting on the name. But more help from John, who I hope John sticks with us this whole pod, by the way, because he's been nothing but useful.
Oh, I know.
But he said that Richard Garriott of Ultima fame is the real world inspiration.
Oh, okay.
For that character. Are you familiar with him?
No. Mark Rylance plays Halliday. Halliday is the guy.
He's an English-American video game developer and entrepreneur.
Got it.
Which is great because Mark Rylance is also English, but Halliday's not.
No. Decidedly not. And then so
is it Roy Halladay?
No, not the pitcher, not the pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, Roy Halladay.
Pitcher for the Angels now.
Oh,
pitcher for the Angels. sorry, I'm sorry. All right, can we talk Simon Pegg?
I guess if we have to,
First question: why didn't they cast Steve Wozniak in this role?
Dropped ball. That's all I could say.
It would have been one of the best on the nose references of the the less loved co-founder of enormous company. But you know what was cool? They had $175 million budget in this movie, and it shows in a myriad of ways. Obviously, there's a ton of CGI, all the stuff in the Oasis. But even in the little details, like the de-aging makeup used on Simon Pegg, who is 48 years old in real life, but amazingly made him look 55 in this movie, which was the weirdest thing. Yeah. Yet he clutched his chest like he was having a heart attack at the end of the film, like he was a 93-year-old, he was Ebenezer Scrooge. I'm confused, Simon. Also, you have the worst English accent I've ever heard.
It's atrocious is what it is.
Sorry, American accent. American accent, not English accent.
Yeah, no, he struggles. He struggles with the American accent.
Did you notice how bad it was?
It's impossible not to notice. Do we know why they didn't just let him speak like an English person? Because he is English.
Cast an American actor. I guess they cast Simon Pegg because he's like a known geek. I guess.
Sure.
That was a favor. But why wouldn't they just let him speak?
So here's my idea. They should have just gone the circle route and had Tom Hanks and Patton Oswalt as the two creators.
Dude, I would have loved if Patton Oswalt played both. I mean, dude, pull a Nutty Professor, Eddie Murphy, and played both of them.
Well, I mean, really, one of those guys should have been Will Wheaton. Like, if that's really the cameo.
Though. Yeah.
Give me, how about
Will Wheaton get some acting work?
Yeah, give me Will Wheaton and Michael J. Fox.
Oh, Michael. Oh, you can't make him do that. That's a lot of work. Poor guy. Could barely do Kimmel. Yeah, that was hard to watch.
I know. But it was also hard to watch Simon Pegg in that role. So
What about CGI? Michael J. Fox.
CG de-age and de-age him,
make him look 58,
stabilize him, and
it literally looked like the makeup person on Simon Pegg drew lines, like dark lines across his face. I mean, it was just incredible.
Well, it looks like
high school production.
Yeah, well, it looks like the guy in your office who's playing an old man for Halloween.
No, exactly right. Like, see, I drew Sharpie lines across. I'm old.
Yeah, he's like, I bought this kit off of Amazon, and it totally makes me look older, and I have this cool white wig.
How about our boy Tay Sheridan from Mud? Terrific in Mud.
Yes.
Serviceable in Ready Player One. He never got in the way for me, but he was never spectacular either. His avatar Percival. Big fan.
Yeah.
Parsival,
big fan. Yeah, Parsival.
That's it. I'm thinking Percy Jackson. But Logan Lerman, who played Percy Jackson, also would have been great in this role. Acting wise, were there any standouts for you?
I think it's a common theme that we have in these movies, a lot of movies lately, where we just say the acting is just great, and we're surprised at how great the acting is. I will say I was surprised at how bad the acting was. I guess Ben Mendelsohn is the best performance in this.
Good, though. He didn't do anything new. I mean, we've seen this Ben Mendelsohn performance, but it's always good.
We know that he plays a great bad guy, so this is like it's right up his alley.
What about his assistant that he kept asking to go do all the dirty work? Was she good?
No. I'm going to say she wasn't good.
Not even the guy, the face tat guy who required no words, but still held his around on his mouth and refused to. He just looked up, which you want to look down to make sure that he's passed out. Like actually look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
But he looked up.
Really.
Not even that acting.
Really unfortunate.
I feel like I'm really coming down on the film though, so I need to reiterate: entertaining film. I actually encourage and recommend people to go see it because it's a blast to watch if you're in the mood for kind of some fine cinema. Maybe don't see this one. Yeah. I don't know. What's your final? Your final parting thoughts on Ready Player One?
For me, this is like a matinee watch. If you have nothing going on and you just want to see a movie and it happens to be playing during a matinee, go for it. You'll get your money's worth.
Yeah. Second act alone is getting your money's worth, which is awesome. Yeah. All right, let's move to other Spielberg things because ultimately, Ready Player One will never be referenced with these great Spielberg films, which means I think it's a candidate for being considered one of his underrated ones. Maybe 10, 20 years down the line,
sure,
it could have this, a fan base it's just kind of one of the underrated films. And I think looking at Spielberg's filmography, there's quite a few that I consider underrated. So I asked you to come up with a list of 5 as well of what you consider by your own definition of what Spielberg's most underrated films are.
Yeah, I did that list.
Interesting thing.
I would say my question to you is what are his most highly, like what are the definitive Spielberg movies? So
these were the ground rules I set. There's 7 films that I think actually cannot be considered underrated just because they've transcended the ability to be considered underrated because they're such classics and so good. And those films are Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, and Saving Private Ryan. Those are the 7 films that I said that just can't be on the list. Those films are not underrated. They are properly rated because those are classics.
Yeah, universally loved, universally respected. And
would you add any to that group?
Man, it's hard to say. I think that's a pretty solid, list. I would if I'm being held at gunpoint, I might throw Lost World Jurassic Park on there as a definitive. No, I'm just kidding.
We've come to find out one of his 2 rotten films.
Yeah, with good reason. Did you include Close Encounters on that list?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I missed that. Yeah, Close Encounters is an amazing movie. So
it's incredible.
Yeah. No, I think you captured the essence of Spielberg with those.
So can I tell you my ground rules I set for determining underrated?
Yeah, let's hear it.
And also that I kind of break those rules with my first 2 picks, my 5 and my 4. Basically, I wanted to look up on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes what all the scores are for his entire filmography, both the critic scores as well as the audience scores, just so I get a sense of like how do people generally regard these films, right? There's films I love of Spielberg's that I look and like, oh yeah, and everyone agreed, 96% Rotten Tomatoes. It's hard to consider that underrated. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to pick things that I felt like the scores were way too low, way lower than they deserve, and thus underrated. With that being said, the first two are both really have high Metacritic and Rotten Tomato scores. But the reason why I consider them underrated is because they're never referenced with the Spielberg great films. I just fired off those 7, right? And people will never go to these films. And so for that reason, I consider them underrated. So that's my caveat.
That makes sense to me. I think that's a fair way to do it.
So do you want me to launch into my number 5?
Yeah. So
my number 5 is this film right here, Catch Me If You Can. This is a film that is it's 96% with critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 89 with audience. Those are excellent marks. You've got America's Sweetheart, Tom Hanks. You got Leonardo DiCaprio in a terrific role. You even have Amy Adams and Jennifer Garner before their primes. Both did terrific jobs. This is a fun little caper.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. It tells an incredible, hard to believe, true story about Frank Abagnale, and really was something for Leonardo DiCaprio. It wasn't his coming out party; that had long passed, but it really solidified and legitimized him as like a force to be reckoned with in terms of just like this guy's going to bring it. I love this movie. Most people love this movie. I don't hear people hate this movie, but who lists Catch Me If You Can in the list of the Spielberg classics? Nobody.
They don't.
And I think I really hope it grows to be included in that conversation. And so that's why I put it as my number 5.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's also on my list. And I think that there's something about the weight of the story that it's a little disposable, and it just doesn't carry the weight that some of his other stories do. And I think that might...
Like Schindler's List.
Yeah, exactly. So it was released around the time of Schindler's List, and like right after Amistad and stuff like that. So it's a little pulpy, and I think people just don't give it the credit that it deserves. But it is an incredible movie. There's so many elements of this movie that are just underappreciated. I think just you put up the poster. That is an amazing poster. Like
terrific poster.
It's such
for
a
the
great
Facebook folks. I'm gonna put that terrific poster.
That is incredible. I love the poster for that movie.
It really strikes me as the type of poster that a boardroom of executives tried so hard to shoot down.
Yeah.
This is a classic poster that, like, oh man, people don't want blurry images of. They want you to see Tom Hanks. They want you to see that it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Exactly.
They want you to sell it.
Exactly.
But whoever fought to keep this style, I'm so grateful they won that battle.
This is a beautiful poster. And I also think back the opening title sequence to Catch Me If You Can is amazing. It is absolutely brilliant. One of my favorite opening title sequences of any movie. So like those little elements of this movie just add up to it's just like add up to a great film.
Christopher Walken too, by the way.
So many great performances. Yeah. Everything about this movie is fun, and I think it's one of my favorite without a doubt. So it's on my list.
So
as
what's
well.
your?
So that
is that going to be?
Yeah, that's
what you're talking.
Yeah, that's also one of my top ones.
Yeah.
I didn't number them. I just kind of like threw a list together.
Yeah, my numbering is more or less. I mean, really, the one is the one I care about. My last one, but number 4 again. Like I said, I break my rules here a little bit with Minority Report. 91% with critics, 80 with audiences. But it's a sci-fi film and is very different than the rest of Spielberg's filmography. But man, what a movie! Also, what a way of nailing certain components of our future. Oh, yeah. Directions that were absolutely headed, from touchscreen technology to even the idea of pre-crime, not pre-cogs, but the idea of stopping people from committing a crime because we have all this data analysis that says that they're very likely to do it.
Yeah,
like that's not that far from a reality now. I mean, like people, some people would want that, which is crazy. But it's super fun. It's suspenseful. Tom Cruise always giving his all. And again, Minority Reports just is not one of the Spielberg films that people rattle off as one of his classics.
No way.
It's a great movie.
I think that's the only time that Tom Cruise and Spielberg have worked together, I believe. Is that right? I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spielberg. Yep, he did not direct Valkyrie.
No. But Minority Report, it's a great movie. It's a great sci-fi.
Yeah, less good poster, by the way. Not quite as good as Catch Me If You Can.
Totally.
This is the example I was telling you about, by the way. Make sure people know that it's Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. And I think Tom probably put his foot down for that one.
Well, he has it in his clause, right? He gets exclusive poster feature.
I can't have any other humanoid figure on my poster. Oh, no, they did War of the Worlds together. So that's
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was gonna say I knew there was one other
War
one.
of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds was I considered it for my list, but I will say it did not make it.
Not on my list either. But Minority Report, I love it. It's a great movie. So when I think of like Saturday afternoon type of movies where you're just at home and you need something to rewatch that's kind of disposable, I will throw on Minority Report because it's a movie I've seen 1,000 times, but it's still entertaining every time. So I love that pairing of Spielberg and.
Wait, is it on your list?
It's not on my list though. No.
Oh.
And that's because I knew you were going to put it on yours.
So what is on your list?
For my number 4, I guess, I'll throw the movie Munich out there.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we actually talked about this. Munich was nominated for Best Picture.
I was thinking about referencing it as my least favorite or most overrated Spielberg film.
You know what? I think you might be right on that end. But for me, I think it's underrated because it showed a side of Spielberg that we don't get to see a lot of, where he makes this like cold, calculating, like vengeful type of movie. He doesn't really do that. He hasn't done that a lot in his career. So that's what I really liked about Munich. There's the whole Zionist angle, which is fine. You know, Spielberg is a Zionist in real life. So he made this movie as, a love letter to Israel, basically. And it's great. I think it's a great movie. It's really entertaining.
Daniel Craig is good.
There's a lot of great performances in it. And I think it's another one of these entertaining movies where, it's heavy, it's heavy-handed, but also yes. I find it entertaining because I like vengeful movies.
It's the climax of the film is kind of odd, like the final scene.
There's a lot of weird things about it.
It's pretty weird. I remember watching it being like, this is weird that he's having this moment right now. Like, could you table this thought for a second? We have to do this right now. It's kind of weird. Those of you who've seen the movie know what I'm referencing. But Eric Bana actually is good in this film. Is it the last good Eric Bana performance? I honestly it feels just like they plug him in movies now and we don't really get to, we don't get the Eric Bana experience.
No, it's probably the last best leading man Eric Bana movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a minute where Hollywood thought like this guy was going to be the leading man.
Black Hawk Down, Hulk, Munich.
Didn't pan out quite as.
No, it did not. Turns out he looks a lot like a bunch of other actors that have become even more famous than him.
Yeah, so
Munich's on
my list. I like it. Yeah.
You've always been very pro Israel, so not surprised.
100%.
Okay. Next up, number 3. I'm doing this for a few reasons. I do think it's underrated now, and I think it'll be one of the ones that continues to be underrated. It's also a movie we didn't do a whole episode on, and that is The Post.
Ooh.
Yeah. Wow. So look, we talked on the spot about how terrible the trailers looked. All we knew was that there's this movie that Spielberg made in 3 months that he wasn't scheduled to make, and all of a sudden he just kind of made it, and it seemed pretty quickly put together. But he had an all-star cast, to be sure. And this is a film that maybe it's because I went in with such low expectations, but boy, was I surprised by it. It was actually kind of thrilling. Obviously, it's very timely, which is why Spielberg wanted to make it, at the time that he did, and he quickly kind of fit it in, a very, very quick shoot. But it's got some good performances. Meryl Streep is really excellent, and I realize that sounds like, the most, statement. But truthfully, she's terrific in that role. Obviously, Tom Hanks is good. I mean, you've got Bob Odenkirk and David Cross and Jesse Plemons, and I mean, it's just like a revolving door. Bradley Whitford, a lot of great. Alison Brie is in this film, and so I actually enjoyed it a lot more. It's 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, 73 with the audience, and really, it's more of like a 90, low 92, 93 maybe. I mean, it's. I really think it's a solid film. It's not as good as Jurassic Park or Jaws or Close Encounters, but look. Spielberg made a heck of a film, and I think it's underrated. So The Post.
Is it? Would you say it's better than The Color Purple? If we're talking about Spielberg movies.
Well, did Spielberg direct The Color Purple?
Of course he did. He got the credit for it.
No, he sure did. He's got the credit for it for sure.
So I haven't seen The Post, so it's on my list of movies.
I haven't seen The Color Purple, so I'm not going to pretend like yeah. No, it's better than Sugarland Express.
1941.
Yes, I can definitely.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw The Post on my list of to watch movies, and if it's not good, you will hear about it.
Oh, please come at me.
All right. So my number 3. Wait, was that your number 4?
No, 3.
Okay, 3. So for 3, I have the movie AI.
Ooh. Oh, that's a Kubrick.
Yeah,
film.
exactly. So famously, the Stanley Kubrick was working on this movie for many, many years, as he did for all of his projects. And he came to a point where he just said, Steven Spielberg would make this movie better than I would. So he literally handed it off to him and said,
He was wrong. I mean, not maybe at the time that's right, but peak Kubrick.
yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of Kubrick in the movie itself, and I think that
There is.
and I think that Spielberg directed the movie with that in mind to kind of pay like an homage to Stanley, and with that in mind, I think it's a successful movie, and I think it got panned a little too hard, and I think it's a good movie. It's fine. Yes, Haley.
What's the score?
Rotten Tomato score is 73.
Okay.
The audience
Yeah,
score is
that's pretty-
64. So
it's, I remember I was at my friend's house, a weekend, when the weekend that AI came out, I was hanging out at my friend's house and his parents had come back from seeing the film. And I remember his dad saying, I wish I would have gotten a root canal instead of seeing that film. And so I didn't see it for the longest time, thinking like, gosh, if that film's worse than the root canal. And I'd had a root canal and they're really bad. I was just like, I don't want to go through that again. Or experience that could potentially be worse. So I was really late to the game on that one. It is the most un-Spielberg, even though there are a lot of Spielberg isms that are kind of applied to it that obviously wouldn't have been there had Kubrick directed it. But it's the least Spielberg-like film because of Kubrick's influence and his fingerprints all over it.
yeah.
I also think it's the best use of Haley Joel Osment.
You are correct. Well, that and Secondhand Lions. I mean, those are the...
It's Secondhand Lions and then Keenan Feldspar in Silicon Valley.
Well, also the Entourage movie is... I mean, now that's the best.
Terrific on the Entourage movie. I know he didn't like the movie, but I'm assuming he was
Well,
great.
he's fantastic. He played Billy Bob Thornton's son.
Oh,
amazing.
But he should always play his son in every film going forward. I'm so happy for that. By the way, that Haley Joel Osment's getting work again.
I'm not. Not a big fan of Haley Joel.
You don't like thick Haley Joel Osment?
No, he's a little too thick for my liking.
Okay, all right.
But AI, I think AI is a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, go forget the root canal stuff. It's actually a good movie. It's enjoyable.
Yes,
it's more like getting the filling filled than a root canal.
Yeah, well, no. Then we should use these. We should take this dental analogy, to describe the rest of these films. This next one is like when you get to a dentist office and you sit back in the chair and you realize they've installed TV screens on the ceiling for you to watch while the doctor's working, and you're just like, I love my life. That's how I felt when I saw this movie. By the way, I'm rich. I go to rich dentists. Just kidding. No, so this film's I think this pick might surprise you a little bit. I truly believe this is an underrated film. But to me, it's a classic. Always has been, always will be. And that is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I actually think that this film wasn't underrated initially. I think it's become underrated because, if I'm being totally honest, there's aspects of this film that haven't aged well from, a PC perspective. It takes place in Sri Lanka and parts of India. It's kind of not totally clear where the location is, just in that kind of area of the world, Pakistan. They definitely don't treat that culture with a whole lot of respect. The kind of damsel in distress narrative played by eventual Spielberg wife, Kate Capshaw.
Right.
Also, Short Round may have been the butt of one too many Asian jokes.
Can we just pause for a second and say how he did a follow-up to Short Round in Ready Player One? We had Short Round Part 2.
I see. So that's interesting you say that, because when we first meet that character, my immediate feeling was, oh no, not Short Round again. And I almost felt like it was his way of like trying to make wrong the right of Short Round by making show like, I'm not gonna, I
won't screw this up again.
Like pushing back, being like, I'm not going to fall into your stereotypes. Yeah, I'm 11-year-old, but I'm not what you think I am. I honestly feel like that was Spielberg being a little bit like, guys, forgive me for Short Round.
Well, how about his buddy who knew karate in real life, which was, of course he knows karate.
Of course he does. Now, hear me out. As a child who was not aware of some of the, more racial ramifications of Short Round's character, Short Round was a hero to me. He was absolutely the guy I wanted to be in that movie. Yeah. He was the guy driving a car with bricks tied to his feet.
Of course.
I mean, for me, I was like, genius. Like I want to be a cab driver, like Short Round. I want to go on an adventure like Indiana Jones. Everything else about what may have been insensitive kind of went over my head. But the fact is, the PC culture of today looks back not as kindly upon Temple of Doom, and so people use that argument to say that it's not a good film, and I have to push back against that because it's made it now incredibly underrated, almost like it's a black eye on his resume. But no, Temple of Doom is an incredible film from the opening sequence, from the shootout in the lounge to the dropping from the plane onto the snow-capped mountains. This movie is built like it's a theme park ride, which, side note, go ride Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland and tell me which of the Indiana Jones movies that feels the most like.
Oh, it's Temple of Doom.
It's Temple of Doom,
without question.
And that's what the film feels like from beginning to end. So it's a thrill ride. It's a blast. It's also very dark. I remember being terrified of seeing a guy get his beating heart ripped out of his chest, and he was still alive enough to see it happen. Turns out it doesn't work quite that way. You're not alive quite that long to be able to see that. But
are we sure about that?
I was like, Kalima, Shakti Day, And I hesitate saying that because it might come across as in some way insensitive, but that's what the line is in the movie. Everything in the underground mining system, again, theme park. It's a thrill ride. It's a blast.
Yeah, he literally has a roller coaster in the movie. So
it's a roller coaster in the movie. And who knows how much Lucasfilm asked, like, hey, the Disney folks really want something that's pretty on the nose with a theme park ride, and he put it in. But as a kid, it's great. I love it. It's like Ewoks. I grew up with Ewoks belonging in Return of the Jedi and loving them. And as an adult, I remember learning, like, people hated the Ewoks when they came out. Like, people thought it was lame. I can't actually think, like, if someone would explain Ewoks except there's something else right now and that they're going to be in the next Star Wars movie, I would be so bummed and think it's terrible. But I look back at Return of the Jedi being like, no, Ewoks belong on Endor. Like, that's totally normal. They're helping out. They're pulling their weight. I'm like that with Temple of Doom. I look back being like, this is a really good movie. It's entertaining. It's incredible. It's an adventure. So let's embrace it for what it is. Yes, it's a product of its time, and there's some insensitivities, and acknowledge those. I don't want to sweep those under the rug, but ultimately, it's an underrated film.
And I think that you actually told me this before we came on. You said you wish that it were more insensitive.
Well, yes. I actually think they didn't push it far enough.
No, of course not.
I'm not going to give you a mulligan, use it.
Yeah, that's because you haven't seen the director's cut.
Oh, boy.
If that's what stayed in, can you only imagine what they left on the cutting room floor?
Honestly, though, I would watch a Kate Capshaw-less version. I know it sounds terrible.
No. We know why he put her in there, obviously.
This is not like those people who edited Last Jedi and took out all the women. This is not like that. This is
just one specific one.
She's just objectively not good in this movie.
It's really, really bad. Like, she's really bad.
So
it's almost movie breaking. That's how bad she is. No,
I hope my number one is on your list, but I don't think it is.
It could be. Well, my number two is actually also an Indiana Jones property that I think is totally
Last Crusade,
totally undervalued. And I'll just say this: there's a little asterisk here because it's not the entire movie that I would say is underrated. I will say the first 30 minutes of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is great. This is a bit. No, I just rewatched this yesterday. The first 30 minutes of that movie absolutely worked for me. It's amazing. It's so perfectly Indiana Jones.
Is this, by the way, I'm well aware that in the first 30 minutes he launches, he in a nuclear blast sends him in a refrigerator.
That's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of Indiana Jones.
Honestly, that's never been the reason why I disliked it. It's the Shia LaBeouf,
exactly,
the actual Crystal Skull.
So that's where I put the pin. Shia LaBeouf doesn't get introduced until about the 25-minute mark.
Are you telling me I need to revisit the first 30 minutes of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Rewatch the beginning of the movie. It is 100% good.
Is it
Indiana Jones
on your list?
It's on my list. Indiana Jones. The first 30 minutes of that movie is fun as heck. And I
was not prepared for this.
And it's on my list. It is entertaining.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So give me that.
Also on your list of underrated Spielberg things, is it Kate Blanchett's Russian accent? Is that on there? Oh my.
She struggles.
She's a great actress, by the way. Only a movie that bad could make a great actress.
She definitely struggles, but
below her standard.
And I'm telling you, rewatch the movie, that first opening sequence.
Where does it go off the rails? What point does it go off the rails?
It's Shia riding the motorcycle. It's the very first time you see him in a leather jacket. The movie's over for me. I had to turn it off because it's abominable.
Painful. Yeah.
It's really incredibly bad.
All right. I'm going to revisit the first 30 minutes and get back to you on that one because my heart hurts a little bit right now.
It's Indiana Jones.
Is that all 5 for you?
No, that's 4.
Okay. So is your last film my last film?
It's possible. What do you got?
Hook.
No, I don't have Hook.
So Hook is my number 1. And Hook is 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is 76 with audiences. So there's a huge gap there, okay? 29%. Now, I will make a caveat here about just like I did, it's the Ewok scenario where I watched this as a kid and this movie was pure magic. And when I rewatch it, it still is. Like, I actually can't see, the seams of the film, as an adult because it was so good growing up. Everything. The only things I guess that change as an adult is when I see Robin Williams having to miss his son's baseball practice to close that deal. I'm definitely now on the side of like, dude, close that deal. Like, you got a family to feed. Like, that's a lot of money. Like, there'll be so many games. Like, don't get sentimental here. Like, always be closing. Okay, like, close that deal. As a kid, I was just like, he's the worst father. Like, as a kid, I was like, fathers don't get any worse than that, which is hilarious. Like, that was like the worst, Anyway, but like the combination of things, the character of Rufio, everything about the Lost Boys, it was perfect for especially my kind of age at the time. The entire scene of the invisible food is still magic to me. I'm literally, I can taste the food in my mouth right now, the food that isn't actually there because they're pretending. I actually created a taste. And it's coming back right now as I'm talking about it. And I can't wait to go eat some invisible food after this pod is over. But you've got Robin Williams, who does honestly a really good job of playing an adult that is very kid-like. So when he needs to go full pan, it's very believable because he's, could be very kind of immature in that way. You've got Rufio's tragic death. You've got the moment where he draws a line in the sand and tells them to come to my, like, this movie is Dustin Hoffman's greatest role. I don't mean that. I don't mean that part at all.
No, that's Tootsie.
But I love
You're
that
thinking of the movie Tootsie.
He swings big here.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's just Spielberg made this movie that was universally panned. But as a kid, this was the best movie I'd ever seen.
Yeah, the only reason it's not on my list is because I knew you were going to mention it, and I went strategic. But I absolutely love the movie Hook. Because
you do.
It's amazing. It's brilliant.
It's not on your list.
It's not on my list.
Only because it's on
exactly.
Right.
And I knew you were going to reference it. And I will defend Hook to my death because it is without a doubt the best Peter Pan movie. Spielberg created a world that is like, it feels like a real world where Peter Pan could exist. Everything about the movie is just
29% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It makes no sense to me, and I feel like for whatever reason the critics had it out for old Steve on this one because the movie works. It's magic.
It's so good.
It's funny. The stakes are high. Yeah. The villain is great. Dustin Hoffman is Captain Hook.
Terrific. Yeah, and they're all 100% in on it. Like they're all doing it. Like even Rufio, his resistance to joining and then doing it. Like that dude was just like my guy. Like Rufio. It gave birth to one of the most mediocre punk pop bands of my upbringing. They were really terrifically mediocre. Hook, that to me that wins it for me as the most underrated Spielberg film by a mile because it was just so panned. 29%.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Spielberg was tapping into something. He knew he had an audience, and thankfully that audience found it.
Yeah, and I think that's a movie. It's perfect for like what they were trying to accomplish. I think that they nailed everything about it. So you had the perfect casting, you had the execution by some really like unknown kid actors, and they did a great job. And you even had Julia Roberts as Tinkerbell, who she did a great job.
Julia Roberts didn't let that haircut stop her from being in the film, which was incredible. That's brave.
Gwyneth Paltrow as a young Wendy, right?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even. Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah.
So Hook is a great movie. If I had kids, I would totally show them Hook, and they would probably hate it, but it's a great movie.
Well, I think that's a great reason to have kids.
Sure.
Honestly, I mean, do you need more? I mean, that's a responsible thing to do. Just kidding. I'll let you show Hook to my kids.
All right, it's a deal.
But I have to be in the room. All right. What's your final movie?
So my final movie is the movie Duel. We've talked about this movie numerous times.
So I didn't put it on my list for the same reason you didn't put Hook.
Yeah.
I knew you would put it, and I also played this whole like, oh, it's a made-for-TV movie, so I'm not going to count it, which is bullcrap because I think if we're going to make a distinction, is it the greatest made-for-TV movie of all time?
There's no question about it. It's the greatest made-for-TV movie of all time. The movie Duel is incredible. For me, it's probably like my top 1 or 2 Spielberg movies that I enjoy the most. And this is a movie that my dad introduced me to a long, long time ago. And it's just a movie he always talked about. And like we rented it from Blockbuster, and I didn't understand until I watched it later on in life. And I realized, geez, this is an amazing movie. It's like, it's obviously, you can tell what influenced the movie Jaws. It's a similar kind of feeling simplicity of a movie, the essence of Jaws. You see it in this Duel, and the fact that Spielberg was like 23 or 24 when he directed it's mind blowing.
Yes,
you could see that he was an absolute master. Zero budget, simple premise, really. But I mean, it's been copied a million times since. No one has even come close to approaching how good Duel is. So yeah, if you haven't seen Duel, just go out and watch it. It's incredible.
Can you believe that film wasn't released theatrically?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Is that just, I don't know exactly the terms or the arrangement, the deal or whatever. I'm just assuming, he's a first time filmmaker. They didn't, trust him with the budget that a theatrical film would have. Mm-hmm. I'm just grateful that like he got some avenue to make a film and that he gave it his all. I can tell you, I discovered it very young with my older brother. We were home on a Saturday flipping channels. It was probably about 10 or 15 minutes in. It was just right after the chase starts. We basically got pretty young. I'm maybe 6, 7. My older brother's 5 years older than me. We got the idea that like, oh, this truck is chasing this guy. He's mad at this guy. Let's see where this goes. And I'll never forget thinking like, oh, I haven't gotten a good look at the truck driver yet. And I really want to know like what that guy looks like, what he's doing. And that was what kept me transfixed, is thinking like, okay, I need to keep watching because I need to see this guy. And as a kid, I didn't realize like, I'm never going to see the face of the truck driver. Like I don't realize that was like an artistic, narrative choice, which is brilliant. And it's the thing that kept the 6-year-old me as like, I've got to see what madman, is behind that wheel.
And I don't know if that kind of device was used in a movie before Duel. Maybe it has, but I know it's been used a million times since, and all of those have been influenced by the movie Duel. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
So yeah,
incredible work. So grateful it's on your list.
Yeah, definitely.
Very underrated.
Totally underrated. Underappreciated.
It's when people are rattling off the best Spielberg films, not very often, but occasionally I hear someone just kind of sneak in Duel among those. It's like those are like the true cinephiles. Are like, oh yeah, okay, you're the one that because a shocking number of people have not seen Duel.
I know. Well, there was just an article that came out where Edgar Wright interviewed Spielberg about the movie Duel, so they had a really deep conversation about it. So,
how about this? Maybe we give our brave little listeners some incentive to see Duel? If you write us a review on our iTunes podcast page, Brave Little Podcast, just write a review about how much you like it. Make sure it's 5 stars. If you're planning on doing any less than 5 stars, don't write the review. But it helps us for our ranking purposes. Currently, I haven't looked in a little while, but last time I checked, we were the #1 film podcast on iTunes. So if you don't see it there, it may have dropped since then, which is all the more reason why. Please write that review. And if you do, tweet at us, let us know, and we will send you a digital download code to Duel. I only have a handful left. And so write that review, tweet us that you did with a screenshot of the review. And we will get you your free digital download to watch one of Spielberg's most underrated films, Duel.
If we're not in the #1 slot, it's because of Russian intervention. The bots.
We have had a problem with Russian bots. We said a handful of negative things about Vladimir Putin.
Well, it's because we're so pro Anton Yelchin. So
that's the thing, right? Exactly. We're considered associates and supporters of Anton Yelchin, so we're on a list. So Russian bots have been writing all sorts of negative reviews.
Sad. I'll just say the word sad, period.
Help
Sad.
us fight the bots. Hashtag fight the bots. Well, that's a lot of Spielberg we just talked about.
So much Spielberg.
This is a little bit of a long pod, hour 10, 15 or so. You got anything else, Aaron?
No.
Got anything else you got to get off your chest?
My tank is empty right now. Do we have anything that's coming up that we're excited about? Any of the movies?
Are you not excited for Infinity War?
I mean...
Yeah, I know, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Infinity War, yesterday at the Kings game, I ran into our good friend, former Sentry employee and friend of the pod. He came and did an episode with us. I don't remember which one. I said, "Hey, Jeff, when are we going to get you on a pod? Like, I know you had a newborn baby, but don't let that stop you from podding, priorities." No, but Jeff actually was like, "Hey, can I jump on for the Infinity War?"
Oh,
I'm excited.
Yes.
And so we got it out there. We actually added it to his Google Calendar. So the Sunday after Infinity War, which comes out April 20 something, we'll have Jeff join us.
Very good.
As probably our third or fourth person. I don't know if Skylar was planning on seeing it or not.
Oh, speaking of Skylar,
he hates Marvel films.
He gave us a list of his top Spielbergs.
Dude, oh my goodness.
Can't go without
just saved the day.
Can't go without referencing that.
Oh my gosh. He actually sent me the list. I totally forgot. Yes, Skylar, who is he's just like me. He loves to partake in the occasional Spielberger. His top 5 has got a few overlaps with mine, a couple with yours. He lists them in no particular order. Hook, Minority Report, War of the Worlds, making a reference.
Oh yeah, there you go.
AI, and surprisingly, Temple of Doom. I say surprisingly because we got in a big argument in our text thread. You had a front row seat.
Oh
today.
yeah.
He told. I think the words he used was "Temple of Doom is trash" and the problematic.
Yeah, I always thought he was the Last Crusader.
He is a Last Crusader. He's always been a Last Crusader. So for him to put Temple of Doom in his list, really what it is, it's just a really nice token of friendship and gesture for me.
That's right. Well, also, I mean, Short Round is problematic, but Sean Connery is perhaps more problematic in 2018.
Sean Connery, if you watch Last Crusade again, and when at the end of the film, tell me whether or not Sean Connery is a Nazi sympathizer. Okay.
Was Sean Connery at Charlottesville? Do we know if?
Oh, well, look, hey. They said they were good guys on both sides.
They were talking about John
he was
Connery.
On that side. Oh,
can we just talk about Last Crusade real quick? I watched that the other day with my wife, and Sarah, she brings up a point. Indiana Jones drinks from the chalice, right? So he drinks from the cup. Does that mean he lives forever?
Yes.
So
that's the thing. People don't talk about this enough. He is immortal.
He can't die.
In the Indiana Jones universe. He cannot die.
Wow, I never even put that together. And then she pointed it out the other day, and I said, "Whoa, you're right. He can't die."
I've been wanting. So one of my fan film ideas that I have this Google Doc where I write down all sorts of fan film, Star Wars and other things. I have this fan film Indiana Jones movie that takes place in like 2095.
Ooh.
Sometime in the future. And basically, what it is, it's 2 hours. Okay, I have one shot, and it's Indiana Jones protecting the new Holy Grail in a night costume. He kind of essentially he gets so old, he loses all of his friends, he gets so bored that he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch the Holy Grail.
Well, he's the Parzival, if you will.
That's right. So it's just like a 2 hour live feed, but it's gonna be done in the style of what was that horror film, Paranormal Activity.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's like from like a Nest cam, you know what I mean, like it's like a security cam. It's gonna, I think 90 minutes to 2 hours.
It's filmed through a Nest camera that's
right
inside.
Yeah, that's right. We'll stream it on Twitch and people can comment. Anyway, I'm glad we got Last Crusade talk in there too, because I do love that movie.
Yes.
I think that's it. In terms of our next film, that's a good question. I need to look at the list. Oh, no, I know what it is. Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs by Wes Anderson. Weirdly, bizarrely, Fox made it a limited release right before it came out. But it is in LA where you are now. There's a Bay Area theater that's about an hour drive from here that's playing it, but it's coming to Sacramento April 6th. And so that will likely be our next film, though I still need to look up what else is kind of on the docket. So we got to do Wes Anderson.
Always. Total respect to Wes, even though I haven't liked his last 4 movies.
Dogs. Love dogs. So.
Oh, I'm a big dog fan. Can we talk about your doggo videos?
Ooh.
Yeah. How many views do those things have? You have 2 of them, right?
So, doggo videos? No.
How many?
We have 3 doggo
Oh, three
videos.
doggos.
We have
Okay.
a Cato video. Or 2 Cato videos. We have Doggos Do the Super Bowl.
Yes.
We have Internet Animals. We have Snecks, Burbs, and Other Animals.
Mm-hmm.
And then we and then we just for the first time I was feeling a little risky, and we made our first marketing video outside of the animal kingdom and did a Fortnite explained in 60-second video that we launched this past week.
How's that one doing?
And about a week ago. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I imagine so.
It's going terrific. Our stats are through the roof. It's on track for millions of views. And the most incredible statistic is all of these, we're at, I think close to 1 million now. And over 50% of the people that click play watch the entire video.
That is amazing.
Which in video marketing is just unheard of. In terms of cost per click and engagement, this is, I'm going to get a little nerdy on you with marketing. Facebook essentially charges us like 0.0005 cents per view. So it's almost free. And what that means is people are engaging with the content as if it's like organic posts. It's not like an advertisement. And so they don't charge us like it's an advertisement. It's great news. But all told, the campaign has 84 million total views.
Wow.
Yeah. We have been so grateful for that.
Amazing.
And thankful for Fortnite and all the people, the phenomenon of Fortnite.
Now, are you willing to spill the beans on what the next video is?
So we read our comments from the people that write on them, and that's where we got the inspiration to do Snecks and Burbs, and I forgot to mention Nopes, which is
the spider one.
Spiders.
Yeah.
That one is a huge success views wise, and it's been shared so many times. 9gag shared it on almost all their social channels. They tweeted it, they Instagram, they Facebook. They're huge viral kind of aggregator. Anyway, people in the comments on the Fortnite want us to do PUBG, which is Player Unknown's Battleground. Yep. I just feel like the material is just too similar to do a whole other one. Very
similar, yeah.
I there's other things that we want to do. I will say I have a working script right now for intergalactic animals.
Right.
So going kind of back to the doggos, basically it's just a bunch of animals from Star Wars movies that I've renamed in the doggo language.
Very good. I think we can say now that I pitched you a couple ideas and you shot them down instantly. I can take that. I take criticism. My ideas first was Echo the Dolphin. You said, no, you're not going to do that one. And then my second idea was the game Burger Time. And you said, absolutely not. We're not doing a Burger Time video.
Okay, I thought so. You're forgetting the third one, and I understand why you'd forget it. But you wanted since we're doing the animals, you wanted a Pepe the Frog, and I said, dude, we don't stand for that. Not going to do that.
Only the rarest of Pepes. Yeah, no.
It's difficult. We don't. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to make a politically charged flowchart, but we can't. But yeah, we've got several ideas in the meme world. But I will tell you, just give you a little inside baseball, a little peek. What I want to expand this video campaign into is basically Lucid Chart explains the internet. Phenomenons as they pop up. Doggo phenomenon, Fortnite. There's a lot of overlap in the gaming persona gamers and people who use Lucid Chart. So that's like usually like Fortnite was good, good call just for that reason. But I kind of want to grow beyond being like, we will distill any information, internet kind of culture and phenomenon through this style of video, which is kind of rapid, frenetic, 60-second stuff, and ride this baby as long as we can.
Oh, you got a lot of tread left on that tire, my friend. You keep rolling down the hill with that one.
Thanks, man. Yeah. It makes work fun. That's for dang sure.
Good stuff. So, and rethink that Pepe thing. Rethink the Pepe thing because I think he's coming back to the other side.
We're going to do a whole Alex Jones flowchart.
Feels good, bro.
We're going to explain Alex Jones and the conspiracy theories of Alex Jones InfoWars, and it's going to be terrific.
Can we tweak that and make it the conspiracy theories of Roseanne Barr because she is now topical?
So can I speaking of conspiracy theories, I keep extending this pod, but I got to throw this. Can I just run one idea?
This is the post-game show. Let's hear it.
We do we do this hackathon every year at Lucid Chart. One of the great reasons why Lucid's an amazing company to work for is they dedicate like 2.5 or 3 days to allowing you to assemble a team, ideally with some developers, and you build something that's, somewhat related to the product, something that we would never actually build because like customers aren't necessarily asking for, but something that has like business value, You have 3 days to build kind of a working prototype, and you present it. And then they have like real cash prizes and stuff to the people that win the hackathon. I got second place one year with the Lucid Lyrics campaign, which was essentially automated lyrical flowcharts. But my idea this year, since Lucidchart is a diagramming application that has multiple shape libraries like flowcharts, mind maps, Venn diagrams, network diagrams, process maps, I want a conspiracy theorists shape library where instead of a white canvas, it's just corkboard. And then when you connect objects, which will be index cards, the lines are yarn.
Amazing.
Automatically yarn. And we have templates made for you. Like, did we land on the moon? Like,
amazing. That is brilliant.
How did the 9/11 towers fall like that?
Tower 7. How did Tower 7 come down?
Like, when did Ted Cruz's dad assassinate Kennedy?
Will jet fuel melt steel beams? Yes or no?
But like, I'm like so jazzed about this idea.
That's great.
Just because we have all of like the framework to be able to aid people and mapping out these conspiracy theories. The business value, on the other hand, is not. It's harder to sell.
Yeah.
Well, also 0 users have requested it.
Well, I think I'm requesting it now. And if you could do a tie-in with the TV show Homeland, because the first couple seasons, there's definitely some corkboard stuff. She's got yarn.
That's a way better partnership than when I was thinking of, which was InfoWars, which I would have gone into begrudgingly, but
Well, I could see you and Paul Joseph Watson teaming up on something.
Just owning libs.
Yeah, exactly. From his mother's basement.
But yeah, stay tuned. Hackathons in the summer. I may need you to consult on that project. Keep in mind, you're the one that filled me with my very first questioning of whether or not the Warren Commission was factually accurate in regards to JFK's assassination. You were you sowed the seeds of doubt.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you do that flow chart, it all ends up pointing to LBJ. So.
Oh yes.
All roads lead to LBJ.
Yes. Or Clay, or Tommy Lee Jones' character Clay, whatever.
Bertrand or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say Clay Travis, but I think that's a sports anchor troll on Twitter. Anyway, dude, happy Easter. And thanks for seeing Ready Player One. Thanks for ranking these. I know Spielberg's not your favorite director, but thanks for kind of.
He's a good time. I will say that Spielberg is usually a good time. So
awesome. Well, speaking of good time, go see Isle of Dogs, and we will be reviewing that next.
Yes, sir.
But as we say, hold on to your butts. All right, peace.
Good stuff.
Ending right.